Yes, cool. All right. Well, yeah, this is a brand new track, and their practice and qualifying is today and tomorrow, and then the Grand Prix is on Sunday. So I've been watching practice while I've been trading here. We've had some really good. Look at this high volume reversal off the lows right here above the race. You can see that was just really sweet, right on the low of the day. It pushed lower and then it had a just wicked high volume reversal there. That was a really sweet little spot. So anyway, I'm going to leave practice running for a little while here so I can watch that while I'm trading, and I'm going to watch the close. But obviously we're early. I did that on purpose because it's just really good action here right now. So let's trade some. Anyway, we're back in the middle here, and I don't want to play in the middle. I did buy that low volume reversal that we just saw there, and I bought it long and wrote it to 10 and just took profits right before I opened the session. And now, anything can happen again. We could go lower. I think we're going to head back up a little bit. We're down a chunk, but there's been some really, really good two-way scalping. So I will not promise you that I'm going to be talking or explaining stuff the whole time. I'm not necessarily. This is already a 1 hour long session. I've already done 3 hours today. So, I'm going to keep the Formula One practice running. And if there's good stuff, I'll trade it. If there's something to say, I'll say it, but there won't necessarily be talk going on all the time. So I see JVC has arrived. Cool.
He has indeed.
Yeah, and I've been trading all day. I've had some great scalping. I have two losers out of let's see. I have two losing trades, and actually, you guys saw, I think, both of them, or at least one of them. Otherwise, I have 47 winners and two losers, and I'm reasonably profitable. I've been in micros and a few minis. There was some really good mini scalping late morning, like right after we ended our session. I switched to minis, and it was just really sweet to pick off, 3-4 tickers over and over again. But then we got volatile again. Like now we're doing this sweep nonsense again. So I'm back to micros, and I'm nibbling one at a time, and going up to about 10 or 20 micros here in good spots. I just did that on this high volume reversal. I nibbled in on the first one, and look at Verstappen going. Jesus, he is so fast. Anyway, if you're a Formula One fan, he's on top of practice, and like nobody's even close. I mean, he's just screaming. And the championship is on the line. Will he win it? Will Lewis Hamilton win his 8th consecutive championship? Exciting time in the Formula One space. Okay, there's a really aggressive push down we just saw over there. So, again, I don't want to be short here, particularly after that high volume reversal, but I'm definitely interested in trading the edge again. The ledge down here is at 97. And, were we to revisit that spot right there? Right there, you can see it on pretty much all of my views. That'll be interesting both ways probably, but we'll see what it does down there. But up here, I'm not interested. And like I said, I did trade that high volume reversal because it was just so obvious. I mean, look over here on the 15-second view. Look at that high volume reversal, or here on 60 seconds. It just literally just stopped short. And the delta just totally rolled over from minus 4,000 to positive 700 in one bar. So, that's a perfect place to look for high volume reversals when you see that at the edge of the range, like that one right there. And it actually exceeded the range over here on the 15-second and then came right back into it really quickly, I'm running very, very fast ranges here now. I'm using 20 and 40, by the way. If you haven't noticed that, I was using 80 and 20 before, but under these conditions, I want it to be really responsive. So I'm at 20 and 40. Basically 5 and 10 minutes. And anything more than that, trying to plan ahead under these conditions with this kind of movement for more than 10 minutes is crazy. So I don't need to see that big range. And I'm using all the same settings, regardless of whether I'm out on 60 seconds or on 15 seconds, because that's a decent sized chunk to use for an LRC. So it's a good sample size, put it that way. But my focus is mostly on the 15-second. Again, this is just in case I want to see some history of the wave volume. Anyway, so that's what's up. Hey, E-mini does look like Formula One today, Mackie. That's kind of why one of the reasons I watch Formula One is it's just such the best of the best. I mean, there's 20 guys competing in the whole world, and making, Lewis Hamilton makes $75 million a year racing 22 races, right? Highest paid athletes on the planet. And it's really, really hard. I mean, these are so the best of the best of the best. They've all been doing it, since they were children. Hamilton started at 6 or 5. They all did. So, and some of them are still young. I mean, look at the Verstappen. He's 24. Lando Norris is 21, 22. I mean, he's not even shaving yet. So it's a really exciting thing, but it just shows you how if you truly have a talent, you got to have some talent. And then you apply yourself at that level, and just these guys do nothing but work on being the best. And, it pays off. It's like, another good example of that would be, the World Poker tournaments, the World Series of Poker and whatnot. You always see the same 15, 20 people at the final table, 9 of the same 15 or 20 people or 30 people. Maybe there's some newcomer, but, that's not an accident. Those are people that have a process and they stick to it rigidly. Annie Duke, the lady that wrote Thinking in Bets, she's a world-class poker player. Been at a lot of final tables, and because she thinks in bets, that's not an accident. It's not a surprise. Anyway, yeah, it's really fun watching the Formula One while you trade. By the way, it keeps me very risk focused because again, look at Formula One. You're going 220 miles an hour in a turn with a wall that's an inch and a half away. And I mean, if you just inhale at the wrong time, you're in the wall, and if you don't get killed, you certainly could get hurt. It's it's such a finely tuned skill, and they executed it at such a ridiculously high level. I mean, and for 2 hours at a time in a race too, over and over again in these turns, pulling 5-6 Gs, and yeah, it's mind-boggling to me. I've always had a lot of respect for it. Anyway, so I see some more people are trickling in. Welcome, folks. I'm just kind of watching the action here. I've been doing a little scalping, almost entirely long down here. We just had a high volume reversal. We're also watching Formula One. If you just joined us, it's practice for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, which is Sunday. Qualifying is tomorrow. And this is a brand new track, never been raced on before. So everybody's kind of learning, and I'm just watching it. There goes Lewis Hamilton in his Mercedes, trying to get up to speed. The fastest lap so far is Verstappen, the Red Bull driver. They're in a battle for the championship this year. But I think Verstappen's putting in faster laps. The Mercedes was dominant in the last 2 races and in Brazil. But the one in Brazil and the one before that where were we? We were in, we're in Saudi. We were in the other Middle Eastern country. I'm forgetting the name of it. 2 weeks ago. Anyway, you guys know what I'm talking about if you're interested. Okay, here's another push down. I'm interested in pushes down at the lows here, or near it. Although this one's got a lot of volume, it's not getting very far. So I'm actually thinking this might be another spot to nibble long here. See if we can catch some ticks. There we go. All right, so that was another 4-tick scalp we just got over there. And again, I'm seeing the edge of the range is getting bought, and we're coming down on lots of volume, but the price isn't going lower. Translation, absorption, but that doesn't mean the rug won't get pulled out here. I like it a lot better if we just below the big fat hole number again at 4,500. By the way, the big pivot traders, the old floor traders, their pivot was at 4,520. So those guys have all gotten really bearish since we broke 4,520. That's an old school way of measuring the market, so I don't really pay much attention to it, other than the fact that so many people pay attention to it. So it's a barometer for me. So at the moment, those guys are thinking, to be on the short side of the market, and so that's creating some really good snapback, kind of puke long opportunities if you get good entries. So that's basically what I'm doing. That's my strategy right now. At the end of the session, you always want to trade with momentum or trade off range inflection points, because unless the range is going to break, and it'll break really obviously if it's going to, like it did that one time we pushed down there and then came right back into the range. If it's going to break, you'll know it. And people aren't initiating positions, on Friday afternoon, right? It's just so. If anything, the momentum's going to have to subside. And it's not lost on the larger traders that a lot of day traders are on margin, and they have to, their margin goes away right around the close. So those guys have to cover or go to full margin, which most of them can't afford to do. So often on a day like this, we'll see a big push down, and then the covering will start after the session actually ends, at the settlement period. So in other words, on my time after 1 o'clock, it's like for the next 30 minutes, that's when it will really happen. So, and I doubt we're going to run this that long, but if we get a really good push down, going into the close, that's the place to look for a lot of buying opportunities down there when everybody goes to take their shorts off. That sounds pretty funny, but that's exactly right. They all get naked at once. But no, think about it. I mean, if everybody's net short down here, are they going to hold short over the weekend? Yeah, they might, some of them, but most of them won't. So anyway, let's see. Here's a good question. To buy. Thank you, Andrew. That is where it was. Yeah, this is old person's disease. Can't remember shit. CRS. Although I did watch it and I knew it was there, but I'm tired. We've been going since 5:15 this morning, and I took a little break, took a bath, went for a run, but I'm old and getting tired. Okay, so it was to buy. Could the week low from 44.71, 18 October be in play? Absolutely. Mickey just asked me that, and sure, basically anything could be in play right now. Here's where we are right now, and that particular one isn't even showing on my view here. But hang on, let me see if I can compress it in the size and make it so you can see what. If I blow it up on one of my other monitors, that's really visible, but then you guys won't be able to see it. So anyway, put it this way, there's 200 or 300 points of weakness below us if we really start going down. We're at the last line in the sand. Remember, I said that the pivot traders, the old floor trader guys, kind of considered 45.20 to be the line that they were concerned about today. Well, we took it out aggressively, but we're not going down more. So, we've seen closes where here, let me compress the session up. So this is where we are, we went out, then we came down and we took out, the initial balance low. We then went back and forth and tested it a whole bunch of times, but still not getting above it. And, we're trading near the low. This was, basically a very sloppy trend down day of 1.5% NES, but could this go right back up into the range at the close? Absolutely. It could easily end up back at, 50 or, certainly 40, which is the initial balance low. So, if there's going to be a really big move to the downside, if it's not going by 12:30, in other words, by a half an hour before the regular session close, it's not going to happen unless there's a real big shock because, somebody has to get that started. Other people have to join it. Nobody has to buy. I mean, it's possible. We could flash crash down there, but the low is going to have to go again pretty soon is the short and long answer. But yes, that spot down there is definitely in play. Look, we're only down 70 points lately. That's nothing. Could we go down? We've had days where we were down 5, 6, 7% during, COVID lockdowns and whatnot. Could we go down that far? Yeah. Do the math. What would that be? Well, we're at 1.5% down 70. So 3% would be, another 70 points. And that's not even anywhere near the limits. So absolutely, Mackie, we could plow down through. But again, even if we see that, like I said in the morning session this morning, I would not sit in any of these trades short. They're bouncing too much. They're actually great longs to scalp, which you've seen me doing. That's how much they're bouncing. So anybody that's just sitting in a short and thinking, they're a genius because they caught the whole trend move, I, once again, just want to tell you, you're not nearly as smart as you think you are if that's what you're thinking. You're just lucky. Keep the money. Don't result about how you got it, and understand this was not a day you just trade short or trade one direction and stay that way. It just wasn't tradable like that. And I want to hear Verstappen. I want to watch him. Hang on, I'm going to pause that. But and just to exemplify that, I'll switch this to 5 minutes real fast. And on a 5-minute view, if there was ever bounces that and there's one right there, if there was this is as far out as you want to go to look at a trend, and there was one quote unquote double top there, and the rest of these little moves up were lower highs, but look at how much range you had to suffer to do that. The bottoms of these wicks 11, the top of that 40. Sitting through that kind of a bounce and giving back profits is just pure insanity. So I just want to keep making that point. You are much better off in those scenarios, particularly if you're new, to just keep taking profits and, initiate a new trade every time there's a good spot to lean on. That worst case is you pay a little more commissions, but you won't get caught giving, 30% of your profits back, holding on to a winning trade, which is just stupidity, but a lot of people preach it. that don't know what they're talking about, but they preach it as selling systems or whatever. So we're back up here at 10 again. That's the spot that I've kind of been targeting with my longs down at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So let's let this play a while. Again, we're not quite near the closing hour yet, and if it's really going to get rocking down, it doesn't need to do it yet, but it needs to start by about 45 minutes from now. And if it's really going to happen, it's probably going to start before then. If this is going to continue down, so particularly on a Friday. Again, a lot of people go home early on Fridays, and they're already trading at home. They're not going to stick their neck out with all the. I don't know anybody that manages money professionally that doesn't have a wicked big profit this year, and that's what their bonuses are based on, so they're simply not going to push it. Don't forget also, we go into rolling next week, and then option expiration. We're at that time again. Witching is coming up, so the argument to not hold on to positions here is really strong. So I think you're going to see really good intraday volume like we have today. We've got 2 million there. That's decent, but I think you're going to see two-way action, and that's as I've said, that's my hedge fund buddies all seem to be doing that, and they're not always right. But since they're slinging big money, it's easier to make yourself right if you have skills. If you think about it, in a short-term range day, you can scale into positions if you have a big enough account, and you're ultimately going to be right. And on short, very tight range days, that's exactly how those guys trade. They don't really concern themselves with being right, but they just know they can put limits at either end of the range and just continually scale in. And that's why watching where the big deltas are and, where the big passive sellers or buyers are is really a good tactic to kind of get a sense of the range. But, as we've seen the last few days, it's never absolute. Boy, there's been some epic puking going on. You see somebody accumulate 1,000, 2,000 at a level, and then we breach that level and they just, boom, 10-point drop. That's been happening over and over again. Both ways, though. We've seen that both directions. To repeat what I said this morning, if you're trading short and there's sweeps up like we're seeing over and over here again, you can't manage risk. So, and if you're trading long and there's sweeps down, obviously same problem. So two-way sweeps like this are really difficult to trade. You have to really be discriminating about where you choose to enter. Really look for ace king extremes of the volume profiles. Like right now, longs like down here and down here are interesting, or if we went lower, there's a few others. You have to think that way. And where do my odds get just better and better, and then I'll play. But I may be right up here. Maybe it's a long up here, but boy, it's been banging its head on 10 to 12 all afternoon, or all late morning rather, and so, that's not where I want to be entering. I could be off sides really badly, but down here, maybe not so much. So again, you have to think that way, or wait for just, bar after bar momentum in one direction or another. And then that is worthy of joining. But this is two-way action. So joining momentum is really dangerous. You want momentum to come to you within the range. That's what I do, and that's what I'm doing. And there's another spot right there now that's a sweet spot. Edge of the volume profile. Liquidity guys are kind of hanging out there. It's traded off of that a few times. I'm going to reset my current trades and see there's a big bulge right there. So that spot got sold, and then it got puked up to here. You can kind of see that in the traded volume, the delta. That's why I run those. And this is really the sweet spot right here. You can see that was the inflection point. So if this one gets filled, this will be a really nice entry. So let's see what happens. Why is it a nice entry? Because if I'm right or wrong, I'll know right away. It'll either go profitable right away, or it'll continue pushing down, and then I'll either get flat and cancel this one, or I'll let it give me another one at the very bottom of the range. So this is actually kind of a cool setup. Let's get rid of this one. So this is the bottom of the range right here. You can all see that, right? This is a big bulge. So, if it comes down here and fills me, and even if this one fills, as long as kind of this 2-3 area doesn't get totally run over, then I've gotten good entries. Oh, sweeping down toward me, that's good. Sweeping back up, so maybe this will sweep me into my position. So far, it just teased me. It came within 2-3 ticks. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Well, a few more in ES, but that one came pretty close over here. So remember, the micro doesn't trade exactly. It's derivative from the same thing, but it might be off by ticks or points at any given spot. That's why these liquidity providers are hired by the CME. They're not market makers. They're just putting up liquidity to backstop the market if the two are not trading in sync. That's why their purpose. They do not exist in ES. There's plenty of big liquidity players in the S, so that's not necessary. Hopefully all of you understand what I'm saying. I'm just repeating it just as kind of a, reminders for those who've heard this from us before and those who haven't. If it's new information, great. You can learn something while we're waiting to see if we can get this long here. It teased me. Look at that. It traded 7.5, and my order is at 6.75, which is probably a little too low if I really want to try this. 7.5 is probably the number to hold. So 7.25 is probably a better spot to try that idea. And let's see if it comes down. I need it to come down one more tick for this to work than it did last time. And of course, it came down one less tick, so I still can't get a fill. Can't buy a fill. Okay, it's traded it. Boom, I got it there. See, it's immediately profitable when I do that. I can get 3 ticks really quick if I want. And that didn't fill, but it's about to there. So that's what you're looking for. Remember, it's that, money risk versus information risk. My money risk is virtually nil when I do this, and the information risk isn't it's higher. I don't know really what's going to happen, but I'm playing the odds, and I'm going to cancel that one because now it's coming down a little more aggressively. So now maybe big fat 0 is in play. We might get the big flush and the big sell going into the close. I will definitely join that short, but it's going to have to be a lot more obvious than this. I mean, I want to see it just take the lows out with aggression. And it might, that's not out of the question yet here. Let's cancel this guy. There's decent move down. It hasn't gotten near the lows. RTY is the closest. So let's see if it goes. And then, way down here to get to it for YM. So YM's much stronger. NQ. So YM and RTY are about to take it out. NQ is nowhere near, and ES is close, but it's got a lot of buyers down here. So at the moment, I don't think the lows are going to go, and I'm still looking for longs, but I will be discriminating as to where I try that. Watching for, the volume to pick up and then see lifts like we're getting there. This might be a spot to try it right here. Nope, a little lower. Yeah, I'd still like to see the whole number get tested one more time. See this little bulge right here? That was the last time we tested the low at the big fat whole number, and we did this high volume reversal. So that's a perfect spot to catch along. And that's what I really want to try. I mean, hopefully that's the trade I want to get. I don't know if we'll get down there, but I'm looking for that. And I would take a market entry on that if it does that, because trying to get exactly the right spot on that with a limit will be nearly impossible. So, anywhere right around the big fat whole number of 0 there is going to be the place to try that. So while it's doing that, I'm going to watch Verstappen finish his most recent lap here. Ooh, Hamilton put in the fastest while I wasn't paying attention. Look at that. Bottas and Hamilton are 1 and 2 on laps now. Ooh, cool. So let's see if Verstappen can take it out. He's been fastest. I don't know if they've been, let's see, who's on what tires? Okay. Oh, he's on higher tires and they're on soft. All right. So we have to heat those tires up first. So this should be interesting if he can do it. Meanwhile, I'm watching over here to see if I actually get an entry on that idea down here. Anywhere between like 98 and 2, I'm interested, because that's that whole thin area here. And I'm just watching Formula One practice for fun, keep my mind busy instead of monkey trading. That's what I do, by the way. I watch movies and racing while I trade. That way I can focus on one idea, and if it happens, it happens. But, let it come to me. Meanwhile, I can do something else. It's one thing I like about this big monitor is I can do that, but I also have it on my other monitor on the side. So, no, Verstappen is not hitting it. So that didn't happen. So it looks like the Mercedes, he hit the curb there pretty hard. Huh. Looks like the Mercedes are in control. Ouch, that one hurt. In these cars, they're practically sitting on the ground. You're less than a half an inch off the ground. So when you hit a curb like that, that's your rear end. That is not fun. That hurts. Not to mention it can damage the tires on the car and occasionally the suspension. And the reason they put those there is so they make it punish the drivers. So the drivers have to really think twice about pushing the edges of the curbs too far. And there is a track limit. If they constantly go over, if they go over too far, they get penalized also. All right. So gosh, it's still playing with the same area here between 4 and like 7, maybe, occasionally up to 10, and then it comes back down. And again, you saw me a minute ago. I caught a nice long down at the low end of this, and I'm willing to do that again, but I am not going to play in the middle. And it just, while I was saying that, it swept up 12 ticks. So That was fun to see. I mean, it's definitely, if you get the right entries on these pushes down, you can catch really nice longs. And, we have yet to see the low did not go in RTY. It's not going in YM, the left two domes. So I'm pretty sure that we're going to at least consolidate down here. I don't think we're going to take the lows out unless the momentum really picks up. And now it is. Okay, let's see. Maybe I'm wrong here. Again, I'm looking to buy this if we get down here. I don't think this is going to be a washout this late in the day, but if it happens by noon, there's a whole hour to go. So that's plenty of time. So the longer it takes, in other words, the closer we get to the close without taking that low out, the less likely it is. Understand that. That is just truth. You can test it with statistics, but and if it's going to go, it'll typically go, it'll go in the last half an hour aggressively, but we will see that energy forming now, and we are seeing it. So this could be it right now. So, and again, I'm going to look to buy down here. So I'm going to reset my, we'll pause the Formula One for a minute. I'm going to reset my footprint here and get a new one so I can watch the delta, watch the bar by bar delta. God, I definitely want to nibble down here, but there's definitely a lot of selling here. So this is a micro event, and you might have to take some heat, but I'm going to take one. So I'm long one at quarter here, at 0.0 quarter, and I'm going to look to add to that as long as the low doesn't just get crushed, because this could be a really nice winner here if this works. But, if it takes out 97 and a quarter really aggressively, I'll get out of the way. But otherwise, this is long. I might even add to it long. In fact, I just did. Now I've got two. We'll take the first one off at 2. And we'll let the other one run in case we get a runner. All right, so that's the trade. And again, I'm not going to, these aren't my stops. If we trade below the low aggressively, I'll just hit the flat button. But at the moment, that's not happening. And because I'm doing this in micros, I have some room to scale into it. That's why I'm doing it that way. Okay, so if we just get up to 4 here, it's a nice, $30 bill. So that might be a good spot to put the first one. How about the 3.5, a nice 3-point winner. There's some sellers at 2 1/4. Remember, 2.5 is going to be the quarter. That might be the first spot that it gets tested if it does in fact go up. So I just moved my first order there. Oh, got it. Touched it. Can we get filled? Come on. Okay, we were filled on the first one. Now we can get a stop under this and see if it runs. It's all right. So we caught a really nice 2-point long on a 2 lot there. That's how you do that. I could do that all day. I love doing that because it's just so, the odds are so good and it's so clear when you're wrong. It's just like if it takes out the low, you're wrong. I mean, you don't need any fancy software to calculate your risk management. Anyway, I'm going to take a quick break here because this is starting to look really fun. If you're just joining us, we've been going a little earlier. We're watching Formula One practice and we're nibbling at the lows with micros here. And so far we're making decent money here. We're up a few $100 just on 1 and 2 lot micros. So yes, we are pushing up on lower volume, Mecky. That was correct. I am reading your comments, but we're really working this range. So, I'm watching the volume, but I'm also qualifying it with the other little number that's next to the volume. There's just the ticks. And there's a lot of energy not going anywhere. That's what you should be seeing right now. So, the volume either direction can't seem to move the price a lot. And so, I'm leaning on the obvious direction right now is that the low is holding. But again, that could change instantly, and we could be, at 80, at 44.80. But at the moment, it doesn't, that's not at all what's happening. If you get good entries on longs, and you saw me do this, 4 times in a row, they don't even have MAE. They immediately go right, or fairly quickly they do, or you can put another one on and really get a good entry. And that's the idea down here, but not at 5. Again, you want to do that. It formed a nice little high volume node there. See that? That was the first spot I got in right there at 0.0 quarter. That was my entry on that 2 lot. So that was a really nice spot to lean on. But, now we're up here and now we're back into the thick of the volume profile. And then that's no longer the case. So, remember, we've been working this range up to 10 or 12 for an hour and a half now. So, and, that's why I've got this up here. And yeah, it's diminishing and it made a double bottom there, but the wave volume here is not really that predictive right now, just simply because it's not getting us anywhere. Remember, if you've been to any boot camp or listened to any of my presentations where I talk about wave volume, I primarily use it when we're in a trending market, even if it's only on a 1-minute chart, because it shows you, higher lows, lower highs, et cetera, that kind of thing. But we're not seeing that now. We're seeing the test of a range with some pretty good aggression, but the range is holding is the point I'm making. Okay, now we're back down at 3. Again, I really like longs down here. Like right there is an interesting spot. So is the spot I got last time, right on that big volume there. A bunch of people like that. And it was negative delta. You can see it was a 200 negative delta there. And then it got puked. So, I like that spot, but I wouldn't marry it. The other spots that are interesting right around the low there is interesting. But, once we clear 98.5 here and start going down, if that low goes, anything can happen because there's no volume down there. We have no experience today down there. So, you can't marry this idea. What I want to see is it sweep down to me like it's about to do and fill me and then immediately give me some profits and I take them and then, wash, rinse, repeat. I think it's about to happen again right now. Boom. Okay. So, and again, you always take profits fast when you're doing this. I've got profit right away here. So, if I can get 3-4 ticks, boom, get it. Or my other one fills, either of those events are good. So, and again, this low looks like it's probably going to go, maybe even on this pass. So I maybe want to get out of the way quick here. So let's take them fast. Boom, we got that one. See what I mean? You can pick up 3, 4, 5, 6 ticks over and over and over and just get ready to hit that flat button. I have a flat button on my mouse. So if this fills and the bottom washes out, I can get out really quickly. And, it's really obvious if that's going to happen. And I actually think it is, but I may try to add to it. I think this is going to go. So I'm not watching the footprint. There's the unfinished business just at the lows. Let's wait for the break and try to catch it down here. I think we might get that. I'm going to get rid of Formula One here so I can concentrate because we have a really good event happening again. This push down could be really tradable. And now we're right going into the closing 2 periods. So this is the perfect time for this. If we're going to break down, it's going to happen right now. And I'm going to nibble down there just because it's asymmetric if it does, but I'm not going to marry that trade. Okay, so I got long down there at 96.5, and we'll get that out of the way. This looks like the bottom's going to get tested pretty aggressively, but we're not going down still. We should catch a bounce here, I think. I'll try to pick off a couple of points on that if we do. I may get out of the way on this one too, but I think we're still going to go up after enough sellers get exhausted. We took out the unfinished business. There's a price rejector on the pullback on 30 minutes. There's a bunch of zero prints above us, guys, all the way up at like 97. So up about there where I'm looking to get out, but I'm taking some pretty good heat here. So I think I might, God, right here is where I wanted to enter it. Yeah, I might even add to it here. Let's see this. We might be getting a high volume reversal. I think we are. Okay, I just added another one to that idea. See if we can scalp out of it with some good ticks. I think we can, but it's still susceptible to a washout at the lows. I don't think we're going to get it, but I'm going to get ready to go flat if I have to. And again, I have a button on my mouse that presses the flat button. I can do that in an instant, but I'm really not worried about it right now. I think we're going to pop up, at least puke some of these shorts down here. Got a decent bottom. The volume is consolidating here. I think this is going to fill, but I don't know if it's going to clear 97.5. So let's take them both off right there. Yeah, now the low might be in jeopardy again. Wow, this is really, really active here. Looking for lifts, high volume lifts. I'm seeing both ways here. That's a lift. That's a push down. Yeah, I think this might go lower yet. We don't want that stop there. Let's just watch it. Again, this is micros. I'm giving it a lot of room as I need to with this kind of idea. I'm playing an extreme. Once it gets going, we could catch a nice move. Here we go. All right. So let's see if we can get the first one off before 97, and then we might have a chance for a real good pop up here. Yeah, let's get that out of the way. Okay, if you're commenting at all in the chat, I'm not watching it. I'm really dialed in on this right now just to keep explaining it to you what I'm seeing. I really want to see this high volume node hold. If it doesn't, I'm going to get out of the way. But I think it's got a pretty good chance of holding here. We'll see if we get the first one off. Let's shoot for 4 ticks on the first one. And then we'll just see if we can catch a runner. Watch the delta there. Watch the bar by bar deltas. Watch the stacking, pulling net, which is the flip chart right now. It's red. That's bad. Don't want to be long with red. Be prepared to get out of the way. That just means that bidders are getting out of the way and more asks are getting added. But when it's blue, it's the other way around. That's what I want to see. There's the puke. Okay, boom. Let's get the first one off if we can. Oh, one more puke. I caught right again within a tick. I was in the right spot for my first one. I love that. It's just like, it's so consistent that way. This is going to puke again to the upside. I'm pretty sure. Let's watch it. There it goes. Okay. So we got out of our first one profitably. We can get a stop under it. So now, it rock and rolls or it doesn't. And that took that one. So that was nice. I got 6 ticks on one and 4 ticks on the other. Again, it's about getting the right entries if you're going to play this game, because we are buying downward motion. We're just getting it when it's changing. Remember, my mantra on this stuff is, which direction are we going and with what kind of momentum right now? So we're going down, but we just got bought at the low. So that, again, the odds of getting ticks there in the next 20 seconds are just really good. I'm not saying we're not going to take the lows out. I'm saying that was a really good low risk place to nibble long. And if I wasn't teaching and explaining, I'd probably still have had one of them on here, because we're getting some pretty good buying aggression now. And I think that might have been the attempt to sell it off. In fact, I may buy this again here. Yeah, I'm long again. And I will add to it right there. I think this is going to continue to get bought. Let's keep that pretty tight because I chased it, but I think it's going to go. So this one fills. Maybe we can catch another one down here at 99. I don't think the bottom's going to fall out, but I'm not convinced of that. Okay, come on, fill there. Good. Okay, now we've got 2. So now we can play with a little more room. But again, I chased this long just a bit because by the time I set it, it was already happening. So we want to get the first one off pretty quick here and then see if we can catch some runners. And I think we're going to be good on this one. I think this is about to puke again. Watch the lifts right here and watch the volume right there. There it goes. Okay, let's get that one off. There it is. Let's get a stop under it. Let's see if, all right. So again, we're getting 4, 5, 6 ticks, but every time I try to set up and protect it with a stop and let a runner go, there is no runner. It sweeps down. And so, every one of these trades has been profitable, but we're not getting runners. So, who cares? Again, getting the right entries is what it's all about. And, oh, wow, look at this down aggression now. This is really fun action. I'm having a good time with this. If you're new, I wouldn't recommend trading this, except in a sim maybe. It's great practice in a sim. This isn't monkey if you can really dial in on where to get good entries. Like there was another good one right there at 99. Let's reset all this so we can watch it. There was another really good one right there. Whoa, I don't want that in ES. I want it in the micros. That would have been a mistake I don't want right now. Okay, cool. I just got another fill there at 99.25. Let's just see if we can get 1/4 out of it. There it goes. Get a stop under there. Boom. All right. 4 more ticks. I'll take them. Notice how I'm not holding out for big winners at all. But, I'm not kidding you guys. There's that's the trades over here on the left. There's my P&L. It's literally there's no losers because I'm just managing risk and I'm getting good entry. And this is a learned skill. I'm not so particularly good at this. If you had younger and better reactions, if you're a video game guy doing this on NQ, you could peel $10,000, $15,000 out of this on a day like this because it's just such good action. And why do I say that? Because the ranges are being respected and there's real good aggression at each edge. So all you got to do is get good entries and you can pick ticks off and that's the game. At least that's my game. All right, I'm going to pause for a minute here. I have a coffee I made like an hour ago that I forgot about. I'm going to go re-nuke and then we will continue again. I don't want to just talk for an hour and a half straight, but this continues to be a buy the dip long, but you just got to be discriminating on where the dip is. And I will come back and address any of the comments or questions you have. I see there's a few there. Yeah, Meki, thank you. The wave volume is wonderful when we're trending. So, if you look at any of these, over a little longer time, when there's actually a trending move like this one right here off the first hour high down to the first hour low, these little up thrusts here were the perfect place to short that move. But, you had to be pretty sure there was a trend there. And again, even though the market is down in a downtrend today, it has been so wicked back and forth, in the ranges that, that's why my default behavior is just trade the range. I don't really care if we're up or down. As long as I've got movement and I've got a clear range to play, I'm happy and I can take money. If we happen to get lucky and get high volume reversals or get HMOMO, that's nice. But the range is your friend. If you can scalp ranges, you can make the best, biggest money. Again, why? It's so simple because risk is manageable. When you're wrong. When I bought the low down there, it would have been really clear if the market was going to flush and make a new low. I could have gotten out of the way or gotten stopped out very cleanly. Whereas, anywhere else on a day like this, you just can't be sure. But when you have a really nice clean range and, all the indexes are kind of in sync within the range, then play the range. Either way, whichever way works best for you. I like to fade aggression. That's what I'm best at. But, there's a good argument the other way too, because we are kind of going down. So fading the top of the range is just as good a strategy. Except, my problem with that is I really think, at the end of the day here, the buyers are going to step back up, or at least the sellers are going to be done and people are going to have to cover. And because of that, I like the buy end of the range better than the sell end of the range right now. But you could definitely argue successfully, and Mekhi made a good point. If you look at the wave volume, this is a trend down. It's a really weak one, which is why we don't talk about trends. But yeah, a really good argument you could be shorting the top of it because those are up thrusts within that really tight range. It is directional and it is down. Yes, those are true points. So good point, Mekhi. You're learning this stuff really well, by the way. I've been watching your comments on the structural sessions with JVC, and you're definitely learning your stuff. And I know you've been around a while, but it's really obvious that you're getting good at reading this. So it's cool to see that. As teachers, the only thing that really gets us excited is when people learn or are learning, and because it's life changing. If you can learn to do this, you can make a lot of money doing it, or at least make a living. Okay, we're down here again. I'm interested long. It's not quite. I'd rather have this happening at 12:45 down here. We have enough time to take out the lows, and I think we're gonna. But I'm interested like here, and maybe here. Let it take the low out by a bit. I don't think the world's going to end down here. There's been too many buyers just above here, and I don't see that they're going to puke. And the bottom down at 92 is pretty clean. It's 25 by 0. And on the pullback, it's at 93, and it's 2 by 0. So, that's reasonably, clean low, right? And you can kind of see that over here too by the volume tapering down. So again, anywhere down there isn't a really bad idea to nibble because, if you're wrong, you get out of the way really quick. But if you're right, even back to 1, is a wicked good, 10-pointer, 40 ticker. And I'm seeing these kind of sweeps up. The sweeps up are stronger since noon than the sweeps down. That's something I've noticed over and over again. I'm going to reset this again so we can watch that. Look at the little baby high volume nodes. There's one right here. There's one right there. And then this is the one I was kind of trading off of right here. Remember, I was buying quarter. That's that one right there. This is exactly why the POC is meaningless, because there's great little tradable high volume nodes all over the profile. And just looking at the POC, which at the moment is like way up there, is useless. So ignore POCs and look for high volume nodes anywhere they're useful. They mean lots of people were interested, and therefore you should be too. Awesome, Mekhi. I really appreciate that comment. Thank you. We appreciate you being here. We're just starting to figure out, Lee and JVC and I and some of the other folks that are helping us, we're just really starting to figure out some good self-paced training materials and, how to do these live sessions. And, we're calling it TRG 4.0. It's kind of our newest business model. And so far, we're pretty happy with it. And I know we've gotten good feedback from most of you. So you guys haven't seen the self-paced stuff yet, but from what I understand, JVC and the Earl of Emoji are burning the midnight oil on it right now. Is that right, JVC?
The midnight oil, the noon oil, all the oil.
All the oils, the CBD oil, the THC oil.
All the oil is on fire as we speak. The rigs are going up.
That's right. Better call Red Adair.
Call who?
Who knows that reference? Anybody?
I do not.
Google it.
What? How do you spell it?
Red Adair. Adair.
Adair. Firefighter. Okay.
Yeah, he's the guy that puts the fires out in the oil fields.
Firefighter specifically. Got it.
Yeah. They blow out the fires with bomb. Literally, they make a bomb and they put it right in the well and boom. They literally blow it out like it's a birthday
Fight candy. Fire with fire.
Right. They've made a bunch of movies about Red Adair and his company. And yeah, it's a very interesting business. A friend of mine was one of his investor backers when he did the big Saudi Arabian thing after the Gulf War, and he needed a bunch of money to go there to tool up and get equipment and whatnot for all that. And so they did a little private placement offering. that one of my buddies was involved in, and I was like consulting on. I wasn't part of it, but I helped him do the numbers, and it was very interesting. What a fascinating business that is, blowing out oil well fires. One of the things that we were looking at is how difficult it is to insure that stuff. They use, big Lloyd's of London type insurers, and the contracts for the guys that work for them. This is one of the things that was really fascinating. Most of these guys are just roughneck kind of guys who, are lucky to have a job, but the top-notch guys that, calculate the sizes of the explosives and really know what they're doing, those guys have really, really high-end insurance policies in that. So, they're taking a lot of risks, and if something goes wrong, the company gets paid, but their families get paid big. But only the top guys. There was like maybe 20 like that out of a staff of a couple hundred that went out there for that. I thought that was really interesting because I guess the guys who do that are so skilled, and there's so few of them that are able to do it that they kind of can write their own compensation tickets. And every now and then one of them gets killed. So I guess that's one way of compensating for that. Anyway, so it's gotten quiet. And again, this is really typical closing behavior on Friday. The closer we get to the close, the quieter it should get, and it should be buy-side energy because, it's been a down day and everybody sooner or later has to square up. But having said that, we've had a decent move off the low, so we could have already seen most of that. That could be what that buying was we just saw. So, I'm still interested down at, 0.0 quarter or lower than that. I might nibble again, but I'm not interested up here at, 2 or 3. This is where we were taking profits on those moves. So it's just not a good spot to play. We could go back up to 20 in a heartbeat. I'm not saying it's not a long like that. It's just, you gotta be in the right spots or the down sweeps are going to kill you. That's my point. And so, obviously this is a long. I did say I would join a high momentum long if we get it, or short. This is a high momentum long, but so far it can't break the range. Remember, look at the range. It's still holding. So top of the LRC ranges, no matter how long you're measuring them on. So, again, that's kind of like, you just never want that to be your long entry unless the momentum is just really strong, in which case it's a good place for long entry because you'll see a spring, but that's not what's happening here. Obviously, we're sweeping down the other way. So much for the coffee I was going to go get. Try one more time to go get that cup of cold coffee now that we're at 03. I keep seeing trade ideas I like. This is what's going on the footprint here. I'll just drag it over. You can see it on the far left of this big screen. There's 0 prints at the very top and a price rejector on the bottom. Another reason I like the longs. But look where the passive buyers and sellers are. This is max delta, that's min delta, and we're above it. So right now the buyers are running the show, and that's what I expect. That's one of the reasons I'm looking for longs. And anybody that, really committed down here got puked out. You could see that in here, that the people that sold down in there got puked out right here on the pullback. And, that's how we got up where we're at now. So, and that was taking out the UB I mentioned earlier. So, other than these 0 prints up here, this is just not a great spot to play. I like it much better, around 0.0, or if the momentum continues, then those 0 prints are probably in play. So, but those are way up there. Again, they're up at 10, which is, again, has over and over been the top of the range recently, and the most recent range, the top of which has been 2. So you can see here's that 10 range that I'm talking about on the 60-second. And then the most recent range is this little tight range we're in here, which is pretty much what, called 0.0 to barely 0.5 and a half, 0.6. So it's a really tight short-term range. And again, that's one of the reasons I like longs. That's not scaring me. I'm not seeing the bottom get blown out, But you need to be discriminating as to where you put them on. Let's reset the dome footprints again, see if we can get a sense of the energy right here. It's two-way. Actually, look at that. So there was some selling aggression pushing the down. Ooh, this is getting interesting. That was some pretty big numbers. 117 there at 2.5. Let's see if that holds. That's a big negative delta. It's about to get puked or hold, one of the two. It's holding. Okay, so that's a key spot right now. See that? So watch that spot right there. As long as that holds, that selling is driving. And it looks like it is. So we might get another long entry. But if we clear, 3 with any aggression, you're going to see at least 100 or so contracts puke there. And that'll be pop us up to 3 or 3.5. But so far that is holding. This is the spot right there. Okay, it just tapped it again. Now there is a passive seller there. He just hit it up again. So below 2.25, I just saw him come in again, and that was actually a baby iceberg. So you can see that volume node pushed us down. So there is a passive seller there. Let's watch that. If you don't understand what I'm saying, go back and watch the recording. You'll see how as the selling got more aggressive, he was slamming the bid and the volume was going up. It's happening again right now. The volume is going up as we were going down, and it was actually moving the price. So that was a pretty aggressive seller. And every time we went back up, he was resetting. That's why I was saying he was kind of like a passive at that 2.25. And now actually the big chunk of it's down at 175. And so look at that right there. That's where I'm talking about. Basically, he's sold everything up there, or somebody is, or people are collectively. But that's really informative right now. Don't want to be long until we see something like that at the other end. And so far, we're not. So this might be a spot to nibble right here. Long. And boy, it's trying, but yeah, okay. But if it can't clear that, then they're going to reassert themselves and we're going to go down again. I'm going to try right here and right here, but I don't think I'm going to get filled. Spot right here, watch the bottom of the range. This is where it will puke. If it clears 2.25, it's going to puke nicely up. And that's the move I wanted to get in on, but I didn't want to chase it. And there it goes. Okay, so that's how you do that. I didn't get to trade it, but boy, you could see that happen as I told you it would. Whoever was passively selling there just got run over, and now we're right back there again. But that was a perfect place to get long. I just didn't get filled. And you can see it traded down, to the spot I wanted. I just wanted to be risk averse. Again, if you can't get a good entry, don't look at this and say, damn it, I was right. Don't do that. That's useless. That's just bad self-talk. Look at it the other way around and say, yeah, my read is really good and I'm looking at really sweet spots. And if I get filled, they're really productive. And if I don't, oh, well, I could have been more aggressive, but then I'm taking more risks. So I'm choosing not to do that under all these sweepy conditions. But that would have been a really sweet one right there, I got to tell you. Now I'm watching it a full 10 points further and going up as I expected it would into the close. But oh, well. Again, I learned a long time ago to congratulate myself for understanding the read when I don't get filled on opportunities like that, rather than saying, damn it, I missed it. That's just too stupid. Don't talk to yourself that way. You really have to stay focused on, your job's to execute. And even if you execute perfectly, sometimes you won't get it, but I was obviously right. So my read is good. And if my read is good, I'll make money anytime I try to do it. So why push this one? But that was a really good example of where, when you catch a high volume reversal like that, look at that one. We went from, 98, now we're at 11, now 12, and you had a MA of 0 on that trade. It worked perfectly. I just had my limit orders too low, as you can see. So we'll leave them down there. I don't think we're going to revisit that price today. It's unlikely at this point, but we'll leave those limits down there just in case there's another shot. So I can see to move up a little bit and take a market order higher above that than I did. Could have been a little more aggressive. Again, when you're having a good day, you should stay in the zone, but you should never, get giddy and chase stuff, because that's where you turn a good day into a bad day. And I still have no losers here on this. I, missed a decent winner there, but that's all right. I'll take that equation any day of the week. And now we're back in that spot that was getting sold earlier, 10 to 12, but it sure looks like it's getting bought now. Again, remember over and over, I'll say this in any closing sessions we do. My default, today's a different story because we've got this really crazy back and forth momentum that I've been scalping. But on any day, the question as to whether I will trade the close, it's all about momentum. I will join good momentum at the close. But when it's like this, when it's this sweepy, I really focus on getting a good entry. And if I don't, then I don't. But this is obviously really, really going the direction I thought it would, really strongly. And I'm just not going to chase it. So I've got a good day going and I just don't want to blow it with a stupid idea. But this is clearly doing what you would expect on a day like this. As I said at the top of the session, what I would expect to see on a day like this is everybody's been short all day at some form or another. And so, now they're putting their positions to flat going into the close. And, nobody wants to be the last guy, covering his shorts. So the odds that we're going to have more downside aggression are really low, but we've been seeing sweeps really hard all day. So you just don't want to say, oh, then I'm going to get long and stay long because that's going to do what it just did. Look at that. They're speaking of sweeps. So the moral of the story is it's all about getting the right ace king entries. Find the right sweet spots. Be patient. When it gets there, your risk is manageable. If you miss it by a couple of ticks, pat yourself on the back that you read it right and wait for another opportunity. If you get it, manage the risks, manage the profits, wash, rinse, repeat. So again, that area is way down there. I think it's probably impossible that we will get there, but that's overstating it. I think it's highly unlikely we will see that level again. So what we'll do here is we'll go ahead and go into the final period, which starts in about 6 minutes. And again, if a big move isn't started going into that period, then we're not going to get another one. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up because it's Friday. But we could get there could be another long here. And I will join it, but I really, for example, if 10 holds right now and it gets really aggressive, there's probably a decent run up to 20. So that might be worth joining. But I really want to see aggression, so that would be a low volume pullback if that happens. But we could certainly pull back to 2 and do that also. That's the problem with trying to do it from here. So you really, if you're going to join momentum at the close, you want it to be really substantial, What does that mean? 4, 5, 6, 8, 15-second bars, weak pullback, and then another 6, 8. We've got the first burst of that. Now the question is, can we get another one? That's what I want to see. If it pulls back just a little bit, and then we could take out the most recent high above us, which is at 17. That's an interesting long opportunity. But again, as long as it keeps sweeping in both directions, you got to be really focused on risk management and pretty much nothing else. Okay, I was saying 17. Well, guess what? Here's 16 and a quarter. So, the spring above this high is really likely, but, where are you going to join it? It's too sweepy. There's another big sweep down. So, okay, now it might be joinable right here. So if this 12.5 holds again, I might just nibble right there. Let's see. Of course, I missed it. Oh, it traded 12.75. My order's at 12.5, and now we're at 14.75. I'm doing this on purpose, guys. I'm being very risk averse. I only want perfect entries. So if I miss by a tick, that's fine. But notice how I'm definitely getting it right. When limit orders don't fill, you're in the right place. I mean, you hear me say that all the time, and I just showed you 2 really good examples of it. And just hey. That's the reason I don't have any big losers. I don't have any losers today. That's why, because again, I'm being risk averse and I'm trading the mini when it justifies. And with these big sweeps, I'm trading the micro and I'm really just letting it come to me. Like, right there is a really good spot right now. Likelihood's not going to get down there again, but 12.5 was in play. So, there's 12.75 again, but we're just not likely to get those fills. It's probably going to work its way up. You can see we've got a little bit of a baby move up going. Here comes the spring, I think, above 17. Let's see, it's got a clear 17.75 gives us a spring. So the minute we see 18 trade, look out. It's going to go up really hard. And so watch that right there. That's the spring happening as we speak. So it traded 18 quarter. So it did take that high out, and it did have a spring, but it's not following through as much as I would expect. Again, 2-way action. I still think this is going to trade back up to that 20 number. There it goes. Okay, so there's the spring. That's what I was just talking about. When you see a previous high and we're coming up with momentum, you'll get a spring above that, and there it is. Okay, so again, much easier to show you those than to really push to trade them right. But I think you have a pretty good idea how you could play those. With these kinds of sweeps, I would again continue to be very risk oriented and focus only on good entries, but you could have one right there. That was beautiful. Would it go to 20.75? Yeah. So I was talking about that at 17.5. So you got 3 points there. That would have been a really good one to play. Again, I'm just erring on not playing right now because I've got a really good day going. Let's see here, just for fun. Yeah. Even in this little baby account, we're doing just fine. I'm not going to jeopardize that by taking too much risk. Okay, so what time is it? Yeah, we still aren't at the last period of the day, so the party may not be over yet. Let's keep an eye on it. So far a bunch of moves have been fairly easy to see and play, as I've explained them to you. Let's see if we can get another real obvious one. You can see another high volume node right here at 17 and a quarter. That's the spot the spring was off of. But you never want to take the second attempt at a spring. It's a spring the first time. After that, it can be anything. So that doesn't mean buy that spot again. I mean, if it gets bought, you could certainly join it. But the spring was probably what created that high volume node. Excuse me. And I'm not sure we're still going up here. It's the buy side momentum is slowing. But again, if it clears 20, it could get going again, and we could see 22 and a half, 25 really fast. Remember, the pivot the floor guys are using today is 20, so they're all like, have they been thinking short below 20? If we get above 20, they're going to start thinking at least flat or long again, and that alone could give us some propelling energy. That's the old school way of measuring pivots. The S1, R1, all that nonsense. Again, I don't use it, but I'm just mindful where those places are because I know there's people that do use it, and most of them don't do very well with it. But the larger ones that use it as kind of like a measure of the day, that's what I do with it. So Damon's a good example of that. Damon Pavlatos or Linda Radsky uses it the same way. Most old volume profile traders do that. What's his name? Morad does it the same way. He's same ideas. And pretty much everybody has the same ideas about that. But anybody that uses order flow, it's really just a contextual thing for them, like it is for me. All right, so we have another good turnout, which is nice. Are there any questions or comments you guys want me to address here? I'm gonna let this play out a bit, but once we get past the bottom of the hour, which is right now, unless there's a really definitive direction, I think we're going to start wrapping up. Because again, if we're going to get a high momentum move, if it's not going into the last half hour, you're not going to get one. But sometimes you get wicked moves that start right now. So, if we're going to get a really strong move either direction, this is when we're going to see it. It's got to be in the next few minutes. Otherwise, it just won't have time to play out. That's the whole point. So, and again, if people that are short start covering and we can clear 20, we could really get a long trade going here. But I don't want to be the guy that's long at 19 when 20 is the top and we go back to 02 or something. So I'm not in a hurry to trade it up here, but I'm definitely watching that idea. I just reset the footprint there so you can see what I'm doing. 21. Well, we're above 20, not by much. And boy, it's certainly litigating there. There's a little battle going there. There's a price rejector at the bottom of this bar. So this could be the beginning of some good movement. That's a decent, and we're at the top of it. The pullback is mixed though. We're right on negative delta here. Big negative delta, I mean. So, oh, there's a price rejector on the pullback. Again, I just don't want to play up here. It's too risky, but it looks like we're probably still going to go higher above 20, but 20 again was the line in the sand for so many people. Maybe they just wanted to get here and then get flat. And it's certainly two-way action here at 20. See, there we just swept down again. What was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 ticks. You can't manage risk when you're looking at 3-tick winners over and over and there's 11-tick sweeps. You better be buying at the bottom of that sweep or near it. Otherwise, and there it goes. Now it's up again. So yeah, that's the trick. If you're going to play this kind of action, you really got to let it come to you and buy sweeps down at good, strong inflection points. All right, you can see, I don't know if it's going to take this area up here out, above, what's that, above 22.5. But I'm not really gonna play, even if it does. I just think it's too risky right here. We could go to 50 though. Again, there's a lot of people that are short. Anybody comes in to buy, we could easily go back into the range. Don't forget, we're right at the bottom of the initial balance too. It's coming up. Here, I'll compress this together. So it's just above us at 38. That's the initial balance low. So, certainly that's a line in the sand. It hasn't been above that since, late morning. So, I doubt it'll go anywhere near that. even if it gets a strong up move. So again, now that 20 is gone and 22.5 is gone, the odds are it's going to go up, but I just would not be long here. It's just too hard to manage these sweeps. So, all right, well, we're seeing what it's doing. It is doing what I thought. We're kind of consolidating into the close, and that's what I'd expect here. Again, I really wouldn't trade it. And for that reason, I'm going to wrap this session up a little early, but I think it was educational earlier, which is why I started it earlier. At this point in time, between now, the line in the sand is 45. So if there's not a major move in the next 10 minutes, there won't be one. There isn't enough time at all. Now, it probably isn't going to happen either, but we're still close enough that it could. And so, I'll tell you what, we'll go another 10 minutes and see if we actually get a major move here going. I think we actually are getting the long. And, so now the next target is pretty easy to hit will be that initial bounce low. But, again, I doubt we'll get above it. If we do, I'll join it. I'll definitely join that. Because then the range is in play. Then it's really likely that we'll get into the middle of the initial balance up here somewhere. What would that be? 60, 50, 69? So, if it really gets wicked strong, I will join it, but I just don't think it's going to happen. I think we're just going to play around with sweeps down and maybe 22 will hold. Now we're at 20. Yeah, like that. 27.5. Notice how it's working the quarters. It turned exactly at 27.5. And I've said that over and over again. That's what I call the quarters. And now it's down at 25, which is the next quarter. So if that doesn't hold, then the one that's in play is 22.5. And, those are not inflection points. They're just the way that human traders break up chunks of 10 points. And again, I've talked about this before. We see it over and over again. Ever since the pit days, this has always been that way. It's not an edge, but it's just, again, it's like the liquidity guys. Just kind of helps you understand the action that you're seeing. It doesn't necessarily give you a trade, but like if this area right here holds, that's a quarter, it's 22.50, right? So if that holds, 25 should be back in play up here. If it doesn't, it should be 20. And there, it just touched 20.5, 20.75. So that's how it works. That's the 8-tick dance. All right. I don't think we're going to get a whole lot of tradable stuff. It's just going to be more fun like this. Again, we'll give it till 12:45 and then I'll wrap us up. But if you have any other comments or questions, let's call this Burning Desires once. If you have any comments you want me to address. And just like that, we're back at 18. Again, this is why I would not, just be sitting in either direction on a day like this. It's just, you're getting such strong moves and I wouldn't infer trends out of any of this. It's really just working the range. And then when it exceeds one end of the range, it pushes it a bit and then comes right back into the range. It just did that again here. You can see that really clearly. In fact, it did it perfectly on all. Look at the pattern. All four indexes are identical right now. This is perfectly correlated real time, like the current correlation. I'm not talking about the session correlation, which, they're all down, but some are 2.5%, like NQ, and YM's only 0.5%. But look at the instantaneous correlation. It's perfect. That's what you're looking for. That means capital is flowing in and out of all the indexes simultaneously. And that's why you have an edge if you watch them all together. Because it's like right now, they're all turning at the bottom of their range. Look at that. So that's a decent spot to nibble long if you were so inclined. I'm not going to take the chance because I don't like the risk management here. But again, that's an interesting spot to nibble long. So right here. So we'll just mark it there, 15.25. Now it's 16.5. Now it's 17. You get my point. Now it's 17.5. And now we're back down to 15.25. So that was a 2-point pop there, just on that one spot that I said looked good. And it was over, it was there and back in 10 seconds? So, you got to be really nimble if you're going to play that this time of day. All right. Any other questions or comments? Oh, I see one. Let's see. NQ recently makes those quarters in 25 points. Not really. It doesn't work in NQ because NQ is so thin. NQ is much more about letting it come to you. Like, whenever you're watching action like this on NQ, if you flip it, to maybe, 2-3 minutes, you should see more extreme range boundaries. So now you can see them. So like the top of the range here is the initial balance low, and the bottom of the range is the low of the session. So that's what you've got to do with NQ. You've got to really look like, okay, down here, if it came down to me and I got a fill, that would be a really good spot to nibble long. And it turned out that was. It got bought right there. So that's how you have to treat NQ. There's nothing like the quarters in it that I'm aware of. There's no, like 25 ticks instead of 2.5 or something. No, not that I'm aware of. And by the way, if you ask any old school traders about ES and the quarters, they'll know what I'm talking about. I mean, this was something the guys in the pit used to talk about all the time. And they traded it. And then, when it went to the electronic trading, it just went with it. And, it's always respected. It's not always again, it's not a trading signal, but you'll see the behavior around those quarters all the time in ES. And so it's just a really good, it's understanding the personality of your instrument. It's one of those, whereas NQ, NQ is just the wild rubber band. How far can it stretch in one direction before it snaps and goes the other way? And oil's the same way. Those ones just love to push limits. And so, if you watch the book in NQ, watch the book filling up when it pushes down, and then the volume goes up, and that's a sweet spot to get long right there. Just happened. So, in here, this area is trying to do that. Now it's pushing down. So watch for it again. It looks like there's some book down here. So we might see it right in here. Let's watch for that. So here, I'll reset it so you can see. So it should be like right here, and there it goes. So, I was right here was 975, and we went as high as 18. So we went 9 points. That's what you got to do if you're going to play NQ. You've got to look for that consolidation, the book filling up below or above you, depending on which way you're going, and then the LTQ go up really quickly. It will go from single digits to double digits around the couple of price levels where it's going to hold. That's how you do it with NQ. Cool. All right. Any other questions, comments, burning desires? This is kind of a fun close. I don't think it's going to change much between now and the actual close. And again, I'm trying to kind of wrap it up between now and 45, which is another 4 or 5 minutes. So if you have any other comments or questions, I'll take them. But I really want to end the day. It's been a nice long day. It's been very profitable, so I'm happy with it. And I'm ready to take a break. It's really nice weather here in Cambria. We've got our Central Coast foggy, cool kind of ocean clouds. CK is here. He's not here right now, but he's been hanging out with me. I've been doing some one-on-one training with him. And yesterday afternoon, we went up and saw the elephant seals up just above San Simeon and near Big Sur. That was pretty cool. They're just coming in for breeding season. There was a male there that, my car weighs about 4,500 pounds. And I was reading the sign. The average males weigh 5,000 pounds. So, and there was one there that was bigger than most of the others. He was probably 6 or 7. I was just like, that's like twice the size of my car. And it's an elephant seal. It's mind boggling. They're really cool to look at. And you can get, there's an observation kind of deck right above them by, you can't go down the beach, but you can get right above where their breeding ground is and just kind of watch them and stay out of their way. So anyway, we did that yesterday. It was cool. Cool. Jeff, you're always welcome to ask more questions about NQ. I talk to it when I'm prodded to. So by all means, prod me to do it more. And thank you, Meki. I really appreciate the good feedback. It makes my day, as I say frequently. This is hard to do when you do it virtually and you can't see people. So I always appreciate good or bad feedback in general. And now we're back at 8. Look at that. So again, that's a reason why you wouldn't want to have been long up there at 20 when it looked like the momentum was really strong, because it turned on a dime there, right? Look at that. Nice high volume reversal right at 26.75 for whatever reason. It broke down from that spot back around 10:30 this morning, my time. So you can see that on this 1 minute view. That's why I duplicate this. I don't have to turn my head, and I can just get a sense of the range over the last few hours and the energy of the waves and the deltas. But for my scalps, I'm paying attention to these bottom 4. That's real. This is just context again. So, and now we're back at 11 again. This is crazy stuff. I mean, if you get good entries, you can really scalp clean. And again, I'm very happy with my day so far. I've been trading micros, and that's what we got. Let's see. So $409. I'll take it. again, considering I've been teaching too, that's a decent day. That's not all micros. I should be clear. After I closed out the morning session, I switched to minis, and about 150 of that I did with minis. But okay, got that text. Where are we now? 875. Yeah, there's again, the odds that we're going to take out the lows now are as close to zero as you could get. We're just not likely to go revisit 92. It can happen, but it's really unlikely, particularly a Friday. So, pushes down when they stop are interesting spots to scalp. But remember, starting now and going till 10 after, all the guys on margin have to go off margin. So those guys are going to close positions. The funds don't care about that. They will start closing after New York closes, which will be, 1 o'clock, maybe as late as 1:20, 1:30. The session goes on through the extension as we settle. So, again, absent just some flash crash, if you did want to play this in sim or just have fun with it, continue looking for high volume nodes that hold, where you get a lift, but it's going to get very two-way as people close their trades out, and that gets harder and harder to do. Absent a directional move. Now, it's possible when we go to see covering going into the close that we'll be back at 20 in a heartbeat. That's an idea that if I wasn't teaching and it wasn't quite as crazy a day, I like that trade. When we establish a low like we kind of just did on the range here, and and it's been a down day, for example, or an up day going the other way. If you operate under the assumption, how many people are already flat and how many people that are short aren't flat yet, again, pushes down, make very interesting long nibbles. In fact, I might take one more right here because I'm starting to like what I see there. And what I mean by that is I'm seeing less risk. I'm seeing more a good entry again. I'm being patient. I've been screwing around with other stuff. I've still got the Formula One paused over here. So you know what? We'll let this play out and we'll watch the rest of practice while it does. And if we get a good entry, I'll take it. So I'll let the session go a little longer and we'll see who's this qualifying now. That's an Alpine. Oh, it's Pierre Gasly. Okay. So that's an AlphaTauri. Anyway, so we'll watch that and then we'll see if this trade plays out. I'm going to close my Thinkorswim so we don't suck any bandwidth up with that. And we'll leave everything else open. Okay. So again, there might be another long right down here, but I want to be careful where I try it. Remember, 00 and 99.25 were the places I got really good longs last time. So
check out the liquidity at 00 too.
Yeah, exactly. And it's way too late for a sell-off. So I'm going to go ahead and get long here. I chased it a bit. I'm long at 3.25, but I think I'll get 5.25 here no matter what. And here it comes. There's 5. I tightened it up just a bit to 475 because it tapped it and then it came back down. So I didn't get out quite fast enough on that move, but I was right. I'll take the next thrust up. If we get a really bad thrust down, I'm going to add to it because I like it down there better. Yeah, okay. Filled. Okay, perfect. All right, so now we've got 2. The first one will come off already. And now I can trail, and now maybe I'll catch a runner up. I think I'm in a good spot to do it. There it goes. Okay, I'm long here from 2.25. It's trading 475. I'm trying to protect it, and I'm doing that, but there we go. That's what I want. Okay, now it's 575. I'm going to move my target all the way up here to like 18 because I might just get lucky and catch a ride to 18. It's trading 575. I'm long from 225. So now I've got my stop at 5 even. It probably is going to get hit, and it did. Okay, so that was pretty cool. That was a nice little 3-pointer. End the session on. As we see Nikita Mazepin in the paddock getting his tires changed. Oh, who's that? That's Lando. Where's he? Oh, he's way down at 12th. Man, this is a bunch of the drivers are struggling with this track, except, of course, Hamilton, Bottas, and Verstappen, who never struggle anywhere. Mind-boggling. Pretty cool to watch. All right, so we'll let this go a couple more minutes and let it play out. But I'm done trading. That last one was another good scalp. And again, patience. If you just wait and watch racing, it will come to you, and you can get good entries. We might get another one, but now it's getting a little too close to the top of the hour for me to get real aggressive because again, I think we're going to see a short squeeze going into the close, and it should push the price up. But I already got most of that off the 00 there. So, and yeah, the liquidity is anybody running MBO? Is that 00 MBO? Is that one big player, or JVC, are you looking at it? Do you have MBO
I
anymore?
don't have MBO anymore, so I don't know.
Yeah, I've never found enough of an edge to pay the money to have MBO.
Yep.
So
That was my conclusion as well.
Yeah, Lee's writing some algorithms around it for his emoji tools. So
yeah,
so him
That's
having
different.
it makes sense. Okay, here we go. There now we're pushing again. So we're back up. We cleared 5. Now we're at 7. Okay, yeah, now 20 could be in play again, and we're at 8. I'm not going on this one, but this is what I was talking about. I expect to see a long short squeeze, a push up going into the close as everyone goes to flatten out, and that's what we're seeing. So again, this would be hard to stay in, but it's definitely a long. I mean, I think you understand my point. People have been short all day and they've got to cover. So, you don't want to be the last guy to cover when there's nobody left,
Right at the 10-minute mark, it all got exciting.
Yeah, exactly. Because, again, a lot of platforms and a lot of brokers stop allowing day trade margins right now, 10 up. So, the little guys are all covering. Otherwise, their margin's going to go from, $500 to $10,000. And most accounts can't cover that. So it's always fun to watch. Yeah, we'll watch it through the close here, but I'm not going to take any more. That last one was exactly what I was looking for, which was just another push down to that big fat whole number, and again, I could have been more aggressive, but as it was perfect. I got just a nice 2-pointer out of it without taking literally the MAE on that trade, which I did add to, you saw me do it, was 6. So that's perfect. That was a $15 bill we made. Leclerc, how's he doing in his Ferrari? This is an interesting view, the camera that's on the wing on the front. You really get a sense of the speed. But my favorite view for the Formula One is when it's the helmet cam, because then you realize how violently the driver's tossed around, and the 6 G-forces in the turn. And, this makes it look like it's really smooth, and it's anything but smooth in a Formula One car. It's like flying a fighter, literally. The same G-forces. Some cases higher G-forces than a fighter plane. So pretty crazy stuff. If you just watch the speed, it's pretty wild too. They go from, 120 miles an hour to 200 miles an hour in a heartbeat, and it's instant. And then they're at 200 and they go into a turn, hit the brakes, and they're at 100. It's just crazy. You can see the relative speeds there and the throttle. Or convert to km, kilometers per hour if you must. They're pulling 320, 330. Right now he's that's just about the high end of a Formula One car. It's about 220 miles an hour and 330, 340 kilometers. And guess what? We're back at 20. What did I tell you? Again, this is really, really predictable behavior on a trend day down. The shorts have to cover, so everyone has to buy at some point, and it's happening right now. So I'm glad we got to see that though, because that's a 20-point reversal off that high volume reversal right down there. And it's just beautiful. Look at that. It peaked at 27, came back down and hit 0050. And then now we're back at 21. Those are the kind of moves I like to trade, and again, earlier in the day, I would have been much more aggressive on that, but it definitely worked well. So I'm happy. I had a good day. No complaints. We had some good training sessions. There we go. See, this is going to continue until everybody who's short is out. And, that you don't know when that's going to happen, but we'll do a lot more discussion of closing settlement trades like this, going with if we've been trend down, getting long at the low, at the bottom, at the end of the day, and vice versa. That's one of my favorite trades. It's just today has been wicked volatile. So I just didn't want to be aggressive and give back profits, but I will do more of those. And also I don't like to do as much on Fridays. That's more of a, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday trade. So we'll talk about those more, but we're going to go ahead and wrap this guy up right now. Just a couple minutes before the close. It's still 7 minutes out, but I'm pretty much done here, I think. So one more burning desires. Okay, somebody who has MBO says there's 100 lot down there. Okay, thank you guys. Appreciate that. Any tips on passing combines early and managing risk? Yeah, have you taken the little course that we have in the library, Jeff, on combines? Either, that you can pay for it and just review it, or were you in it? If not, that's definitely a place to start. The idea of just understanding how to game them. And I would, communicate with JVC and the guys who, have accountability threads where they're posting their results. Because that's a really good way to get some good pointers from those guys too. but we have a nice little. What is if you weren't at that course, what is the replay cost? Isn't it like $99 or something?
Yeah, I think it's $100, and all the recordings of the educational portions of it, which was a weekend where we went into all the nitty gritty of what to watch out for, what the traps are, how they work, what they're really designed to do, how they will get you, all that kind of thing.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And there was some really good, Lee did one session that was about 3 hours long that was really good. And there was 2 of those. So I highly recommend that material for you, Jeff, if you haven't seen it, because that's really the best, how to avoid the pitfalls. Combines can be really great, but you can make stupid mistakes if you don't know, where not to step, so to speak.
And they're designed to encourage that.
Oh yeah, depending, particularly like these guys that use trailing intraday drawdowns like Lilu.
Oh yeah,
that can just screw you so badly. I kind of like UProfit's model right now. I've got a couple running with them for various reasons, and I've always liked earn to trades. And I know a bunch of people are doing Lilus and Apex, but both those guys, if I'm not mistaken, doesn't Apex also have a trailing drawdown intraday?
I think almost everyone does. I lose track. UProfit doesn't. I remember.
Yeah, they're the only one that doesn't do that. They do it just with end of day.
No, actually, you know what? Apex didn't. I remember now. They were actually like the fewest rules of anybody I'd seen. They had almost no rules. It was just don't blow up.
Right. Okay. And you have to wait longer to take money out. That's
where they got you. It's like a 4-month period before you can withdraw or something like that.
Exactly. And again, knowing these gotchas are really important. So yeah, Jeff, take a look. Past 2 scalping today. Awesome. Yeah. Definitely. One up is more balanced. I'm hearing from Pete. Everybody has different. They're all a little bit different, and that was one of the really good things about that course. Is it just kind of gave you an overview of how to look for the pitfalls. And they changed the rules a lot too, so you got to know when to do what. As a scalper, you can choose more of them because the trailing drawdown shouldn't hit you as hard. But having a trailing drawdown can be really discouraging because, one trade that you sit in too long that was a winner that you let go back to break even can ruin your whole evaluation. So anyway, I'm watching just the results of practice here. So it looks like Hamilton was fastest, Verstappen was second. And so that will be fun. Looks like the Saudi Grand Prix is going to be a fun one, folks. So stay tuned. Let's see. Tomorrow morning we have the roundtable on Bubba finding and nurturing. This should be one of our best sessions of the year, and it's open mic. So make sure when you come, you bring your mic and no cameras. We just talk, and everybody, we don't force you to contribute, but typically when we do a roundtable, there's 8, 10, 12 people contributing, and it's really cool. You hear a lot of different perspectives, and so that's 8:00 tomorrow morning. So
9 a.m.
9 o'clock. I'm sorry, 9 o'clock Pacific. Yep. Yeah. Boy, look at this. We're 35 now. So remember what I was saying about a short squeeze at the close? Hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. And then of course the rookie guys are saying, well, why didn't he just keep his long from 2? That move was pretty clear without a lot of pullbacks, but risk management.
It didn't have to be.
Yeah. On any other day, I probably would have taken that and just let it ride. But on a day like this, where the last time we were at 27, we went back down to 0-0 in a heartbeat, risk management. That's why. All right, cool. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy your evening and your weekend. Our next thing tomorrow is the roundtable one more time, and 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, and then we have the reopen at 2:45 Sunday, my time.